Hi everyone. Keir Starmer, the British Prime Minister, has just announced that he wants to mandate digital identification for people's right to work across Britain. Oh, here we go. Here we go. What's really surprising about a globalist WEF, World Economic Forum man, Starmer, implementing their agenda towards digital identification? We've seen this being pushed by the globalists over the past number of years, and this fundamentally is what it's all about. And of course, Starmer would claim that it's for your safety, for your security, and for your protection. Because he's saying because of illegal immigration. And he has to know who comes into the country and who doesn't come into the country. Well, Keir Starmer, you have border patrols, don't you? Sorry, you don't. You don't really give a damn about the needs of your people, much the same as your predecessors before you, who still pursued the same agenda. And you benefited your rich billionaire friends, big employer friends, to make a fortune from the race to the bottom in terms of cheap labour. Now they're crying wolf over cheap labour and the shadow economy, where he claims 700,000 people are working in this system that operates outside the official system. But he said as well that 50,000 have come on small boats in August. This is more of the same nonsense. And watch out, Ireland. This is going to have major implications for the island of Ireland with 6 counties. Has ramifications in regards to the Good Friday Agreement. The whole naming of this around the brick card really puts it up the noses of ordinary people. This is what they want. They want to put people towards digital ID, and without digital ID, you can't implement the central bank digital currencies. Of course, Pascal Donoghue here in Ireland is the man pursuing this agenda around the central bank digital currency, and he has been focusing on this over the past few months in terms of getting this in train. Now, this is very important because this is what it's all about. Control, drive towards totalitarianism, and of course, it's who does it benefit? It doesn't benefit ordinary people. It benefits those corrupt, psychopathic elites in society. What I'm here in Collins Barracks, I could just draw a metaphor in terms of the square here in the National Museum. This will be your future prison they want, where your health data, your record in terms of public services, access to necessary services we need in society will be all contingent on this digital identification. But this is just a step too far, and I've seen already a great pushback against it in Britain. Of course, there's a distraction for Starmer himself because of his own sleazy, sordid scandals, and also because of his donation scandals he's facing in England. And remember, at the back of it is a guy called Morgan McSweeney, also an Irishman, whose father himself is profiting from the immigration scam here in Ireland in terms of providing accommodation. Of course, he's part of this group called Labour Together. Like, it's just, it's really just nonsense. Regardless of who you're looking at, all these parties fundamentally serve the same rotten, corrupt elites. And this is what they want to drive Ireland towards. So watch out with Ireland over the next period of time. Watch out, the political establishment here, be watching closely. And of course, having Donoghue at the helm of this Eurogroup and the Ecofin as well is important to note, because they thought they'd get away with a lot in Ireland. They got away with a good bit in terms of settling over 43% of the banking debt of Europe onto the people of Ireland with devastating austerity. We saw that through the bailout. We saw the ceding of our sovereignty, for instance, through various European Union treaties. Now they're trying to dismantle our neutrality and drag us towards a European Union superstate. And we have psychopaths and lawyers like von der Leyen who themselves had their own corrupt dealings with Pfizer and aren't willing to face accountability over that. And they're talking about transparency, talking about trusted information, real information, and trying to clamp down on dissent under the guise of disinformation, malinformation, and misinformation. So this is what these absolute psychopaths want to draw people towards. And you could call them evil, and they are evil in terms of what they're doing in society, because they've no interest in representing the people of their country. So please share this video. Please speak out about this, which is very important that you do speak out on this. Use whatever platforms you have yourself to speak out on this. Also, people should come together, whatever sides of the political divides they might identify themselves on, because there are far, 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 far more greater numbers of us than them. And it's up to us to be awake to what's going on. Remember during the period of the lockdowns where they had mandated and had implemented discrimination in society. And of course, Michael D. Higgins signed that into law in terms of a two-tier society where it locked people out based on their private, personal, medical choices. And people cheered that along. They were driven along through emotion, they were driven along through the propaganda, they were driven along through fear, and now the same. They're driving people through fear and saying the ones who created the problems in the first place are now coming up with the solution. All manufactured, all by design to capture society and force us into a digital prison. But like many of the revolutionaries who are buried just beyond here in Arbour Hill, who stood up and struck out for our freedom, we are the same. They continue to push back against this. And as I said, whatever side of the political divide people see themselves on, it's irrelevant, because this globalist agenda is going to tackle everybody, and it's pitted people against each other already, ordinary people. And that's why we need to all join up around this and build a movement for the people and build a society that has still yet to be realised in terms of putting the needs of our citizens first, led by ordinary people, where democracy starts from communities, where sovereignty is taken back, and we don't be beholden to any supranational institution or any technocratic institution, bureaucrats, or those who represent the billionaires and the very wealthy in Ireland and across the water too, and right around the world. And well, I'll just look down here, we'll just show you a view here towards Croppy's Acre, infamous place in Irish history in terms of those who struggled and fought for Irish independence and gave their lives during the uprising well over 225 years ago. Many of those who gave their lives in places like Vinegar Hill and Wexford fought against the oppressors, the colonialists, and much the same now as we're being tackled by the corrupt globalists and the political leaders in Ireland that aren't interested in serving the interests of the people of Ireland. They aren't interested in the idea of countries or nations or history or heritage. That's why we've come under these relentless attacks over the last few months from people like Martin, who's been talking about Ireland aren't homogenous or mongrels. It wants nothing to do with a backward looking idea like sovereignty. It's to condition people and make people feel less. And even recently, when there was attacks on prospective presidential candidates about talking about family values and talking about their pride in their Catholic religion, they were dismissed out of hand and made backward. Like, this is just outrageous. But this is trying to have an attack on our basic identity in terms of our traditions and our rich, proud culture here in Ireland as well. And of course, these are our real values that have been ignored by the political establishment who say that the values of Europe need defending. And what are their values? Their values are disinformation. Their values are propaganda, warmongering, neoliberal policies which creates massive inequality. Richest 10% have 50% of the wealth in Ireland, while we have 1 in 5 children in poverty. Then we have record rents, record house prices, record emigration, record hospital waiting lists, record people waiting hospital treatment of various forms, disability services on their knees, people waiting for special needs assessments. Everything is on its knees in Ireland. And then we have others like Dr. Marcus de Bruin at the moment, who's faced over 4 or 5 days in a trial regarding his fit to practice in terms of the medical council taking him to task because of his views during COVID. Of course, it's so important to have dissent and dissenting voices rather than just corrupt yes men and women who just go along with the narrative. They don't want to rock the boat. They want an easy ride. But unfortunately, it's going to come for everybody. And that's why it's important to reach out to the people who think they're okay at the moment. Because this is going to come across the line for everyone. And it's up to the people to make a stand and stand up for our basic rights. Our rights were always struggled and won for. Our rights were never given to us. We didn't just arrive here. We are grateful to all our previous generations of people who struggled for our basic rights across Ireland and across the world too. Many groups, many people who struggled for our basic rights that we achieved. So it's critically important now more than ever. So thanks so much for all support with my videos. I'm very grateful. Please share them and share them far and wide. Invite your friends, talk to your friends, talk to your neighbours, talk to everybody about what's going on, and have those open discussions. That's what we should be having in society, where we have open, frank, honest discussions on what takes place across our daily lives, and not to bury your heads in the sand and thinking this won't affect us or nothing will change. Things do change, and that's why it's important to support whatever people are doing across the water in terms of, and it just even in the occupied 6 counties, absolutely shocking and absolutely disgraceful. Huge attack on our basic rights. But of course there's issues around data breaches and major issues there they could go into. But this is a basic rights issue, basic civil rights issue. And that's why it's so important now. When they say it's for our safety, are there to protect us or look after us or security. You know, initially it'll be the carrot approach, and then you'll see the stick being used on people. So it's up to ordinary people to unite right across the political spectrum on what's going on in Ireland. So thanks so much for supporting my videos. And from Dublin today, take care as we look out in the lovely bluish sky here across Dublin city, capital city that we're so proud of, again, that the government has run into the ground deliberately, looking for their surveillance state and all this type of nonsense to clamp down on basic rights, talking about curfews and all this nonsense. But of course this is all manufactured crises to create the desired result. So thanks for support, and slán go fóill, God bless everybody, and I'm really grateful for all the kind support, and share my videos as well. So from Collins Barracks here, take care, slán go fóill.